Welcome to day 2 of the coloring challenge, and today I challenge you to stick with these 3 colored pencils that we've been using and to not add any additional colors. I know sometimes that's really hard to use less, so let's challenge ourselves. I'm using black, yellow, orange, and aqua-green Crayola pencils, and then an optional Signo Uniball white pen for the outlines, which is totally optional. And this page is from Season of the Witch. I also have a pencil sharpener, which is really important, and then a white eraser, which I definitely use for little mishaps and whatnot. So first, for the ghost kitty, this is just the aqua-green Crayola pencil, and you can see I'm kind of staying away from the black line there. I'm keeping that aqua-green a little bit away from the edge. That just gives it a little bit more dynamic shape on the cat's back, and then as it touches the ground here, I am going to the edge. That just sort of, to my mind, would be a little more shadowy down there by the tail. At this point, I'm just thinking about where would the shadows fall. If those candles on the table were lighting up this cat, the shadows would be opposite the light, so they'd be kind of tucked in with all the legs here and on the right hand side. So that's why I'm doing the cat's back and the neck on the right hand side of the cat. That's where I'm envisioning my shadows. And you can see just a little bit already makes a big difference. To shade the front, again, I'm leaving a little bit of space between the black line and then the shading. And in my example here, I'm going to use a white pen to block out all of the outlines, but that's totally optional. I just had a smudge from my hand of the orange right there, so it was driving me nuts. So I had to just go in there and erase a little bit more. You probably don't have that, or maybe you do. So then just shadowing again the bottom of the tail. You can see I'm going really slow. This is my regular speed, and I'm just thinking, so where's the shadows? I'm keeping them on the right hand side because my light's on the left. And if you want to go more in depth with that, my coloring class has lots more examples. I am shading a little bit all over the face because the hat, I'm imagining the hat sort of shading the face, but you can see the nose protrudes, so that's left a little bit lighter. And then I'm just kind of continuing on slowly. At this point, I think I looked up a picture of a sitting cat because I was like, where are those shadows going to fall with the back leg? Couldn't really remember exactly how a cat's back leg looks, especially a ghost cat. So I looked that up, just a picture of a cat, and I kind of saw that the shadow is sort of in the middle there. It indents a little bit, and then I just added a little bit of shading as so. And then you can really see the kitty start to come together. But I wanted to show you this at regular speed so you could just sort of see the speed that I go, which is not really fast, especially if I'm doing shading like this, where I'm doing something a little more detailed. For the background, a little bit more mindless because it's just one color, so that I went a little bit faster. But for the ghost kitty, I'm taking my time. I'm definitely trying to leave a lot of white on the page, add enough of the aqua blue or aqua green to shade it so it has definition and kind of looks 3D, but I'm also being really mindful to leave some white spaces. Of course, this aqua green is light enough that you could erase if needed, but it's good to try to think about that and leave the highlights where you want them. And if you see your highlights and shadows a little bit different, of course, do it the way you see. Now I'm darkening even more, pressing much harder there to deepen the shadows on the tail and the shadowiest parts like the neck and anything that kind of underlaps. And then an area like the chest there where I felt like I got a little bit too much, as I said, you can erase out to white. So I'm imagining the light sort of hitting him there. Moving on to the black hat, I'm going to color it a very solid black. And the only place to be, especially if you don't have the white pen, if you don't have the white pen, be very, very careful to leave a tiny, tiny white outline across the brim here in just a second, the next piece. So sharpen your pencil really, really, really well. Color from the top down and leave the tiniest white outline on the edge there. Now, if you do have the white pen, it'll be a lot easier to go back in and add that highlight. But if you don't have the white pen, just be really, really careful with your pencil and you can achieve the same effect. For the top of his hat, I'm just coloring it a solid black, so just go ahead and fill that all the way in. Cool, so that's pretty cute. I'm going to make an orange ribbon and then just add a few details here. Again, I challenge you to stay with the color scheme and not add a different color ribbon or whatever. Ultimately, you have free will, so that's going to be up to you. So here I have a white pen and I'm just going to add a tiny bit more of the highlight. If you don't have the white pen, it's totally optional, but just retroactively be really careful to leave that little strip of white when you color. Oh my goodness, that is looking so cute. I totally understand that somebody is going to color the eyes green or something else. Is that you? Again, I do challenge you to keep it on the color scheme. It's funny how we don't want to be told what to do, isn't it? So that really looks cute. Congrats on getting this far. Now let's do the black kitty on the left. So for this one, make sure your pencil is super, super sharp. Again, especially if you don't have the white pen to draw in outlines, you need to be very, very careful right here to leave this tiny little sliver of white. So the more carefully you can block that in with a very sharp black pencil, the better. So anytime I'm doing that, like here on the bottom leg, anytime I want to leave that little distinction of a white outline, be very, very careful in this stage. Make sure your pencil is really, really sharp. I have the white pen, so I was not that careful in a couple of spots, but you can be definitely more careful than I. And then when you're coloring out to the edge, you don't have to go quite as slowly. Same here for the neck, between the neck and head. Leave a better outline than I did. That's a little bit of a lousy one. Remember, it's always easier to go back and darken things than it is to leave white if you don't have the white pen. That's why I recommend those magical white Uniball, Signo pens. Same with the tail. So right now I'm blocking out all those little white outlines that I'm trying to leave with some success. I know I'm going to rely on my pen here, so I wasn't as careful, but I still did pretty good. I wanted to show you what it looks like if you don't have the white pen. So I was at least trying to go along with my own exercise here. Yeah, so do your best. Real sharp pencil and leave a nice outline around those spots there and then fill it on in. So I'm going to speed this part up here. It took me 4 minutes to color this guy in as dark as I could, but I'm going to speed it up to just about 1 minute. The little cat toes there, if you don't have the white pen, again, try to leave a little bit of definition. I left a little bit of definition, but you could probably be a little more careful there and do more if you want. But it didn't need much to show that those are the ends of his little paws. So just continue to fill it in at this point. You can see I have a piece of paper under my hand there. I'm left-handed, so I don't know if that means I smudged the page more, or anytime you're using a black pencil, you probably have the potential for smudges, so it's better to keep a piece of paper under your hand and get in that habit if you can. So you can see here, I'm leaving those white outlines and I'm just blacking in the rest. Tiny bit of a white outline on that one leg there. some good cat toe definition on the rear foot. And you can see I didn't use any white pen here, and I have pretty good definition on a black object. So this is a really cute example of a solid black kitty with a white outline. Now, if you don't have the pen, leave an outline for the mouth here. I did not do that. So if you make sure to leave a line underneath the mouth to show the definition there, and a little bit for the nose too, the vertical part that connects the cat nose and mouth. I just ended up using the pen, so don't do what I did. Unless you want just a pure black face like that, which actually doesn't look so bad. You can still see what's going on. So now I'm just finishing up the details of the kitty cat. Again, I challenge you to stick with the color scheme. I'm only using orange or yellow orange, aqua green, and black again. So everything is either black, yellow orange, or aqua green. It actually makes it really easy and kind of fun because you get to start picking what's what. So I wanted his mask to be the aqua green, and I'm just very gently, not doing a lot of shading, but just a tiny bit. Again, I'm imagining the candles lighting up his face. So that means the right-hand side of his mask is going to have a tiny bit more light than the left. So I'm adding a deeper shadow on the left there. Still minimal shading. I'm coloring this page pretty flat, meaning there isn't like a lot of gradient. So on the ghost cat, that has shading, the definition. On the black cat, it doesn't. It's colored flat, right? So his mask just has a real basic, not too much as far as shading, but just a little bit. So here I'm blocking back into the face. Aw, look how cute that is. They both look adorable. And if you do have the white Uniball Signo pen, you can go back in and go over any of your little white highlights that you missed. And if you don't have the pen, you can leave it just as it is, and you can see it still looks really, really cute just by leaving white lines very carefully with a black pencil. I am going to take it the next step here, and I'm going to outline the entire kitty with white. But again, that's optional. If you don't have that, just leave it just as it is, and it still looks adorable. I'm going to speed through this white outline since it's optional, but if you do have the white pen, just go ahead and take your time and outline it. Awesome. That looks so cute. So now the rest of the objects on the table. How about the candles? Again, I challenge you to stick with the color scheme. So using the aqua green, I'm going to just color in like a U shape at the bottom, sort of. It's like as if the candle is lighting itself up from the top. So the bottom is shadowy, and then there's a highlight around the top there. Again, I'm going at the regular speed here just so you can see. I go pretty slowly and carefully when I'm shading little objects like this. And you can see it's also not very precise, but when you take a look from a distance, it looks pretty cool. Now, I really had to challenge myself here to stick with the color scheme and not add yellow or something else for the flames. Of course, you totally could, and it would look good. But again, it's a challenge. So I was challenging myself to stick with the colors. So I just used the aqua green for the candles, the crystal. Then I really had to take a moment here to think about the tarot cards. I decided to do black so I could sort of bridge the black from the cat on the left to the hat on the right. The black elements were sort of not that balanced, and the flow wasn't that, there wasn't enough contrast in the middle. So I thought, okay, I'll do the tarot cards in black, and that should kind of bridge the two. And I think it was a good choice. But I thought about doing them in the aqua green as well. Then for that stack of tarot cards, I really had to take a minute to think about it. So I went around and fussed with white outlines and fixed anything that I saw there. But I wanted to color the deck a solid black without having to do too much detail work on those cards. Like this, the top made sense. I could do that solid black, but how do I show the white outlines between the cards on the stack and all of that? So I ended up doing the simplest solution I could think of, which was just to color the top solid black and then do a very, very, very light shade on the sides of the cards. So I challenge you to do the same. Use full pencil pressure here for the top of the cards, and then just do the lightest shading you can there down the sides. And then with the candles lighting it up, the shadows would be opposite the light. So I did the left faces of those cards. Same for the legs. I will challenge you to stick with the color scheme and only use those 3 pencils. So I chose black and just applying the tiniest bit of black to the legs into the front face of the table there in the shadowiest parts. Yes, I could have picked up a brown pencil or something, it crossed my mind. But the challenge is to stick with the pencils. So I think it was worth it because it came out really cute. Awesome. So if you don't have a white pen, or if you don't want to outline the ghost kitty in white, you are done. It looks so awesome, just like this. This is all you have to do. The white pen is totally optional, but if you do have the white Uniball Signo pen or something similar, a white paint pen, or an opaque white gel pen, even a silver one, or maybe even a blue one, you can outline this ghost kitty and make him look even more translucent. Again, this is totally optional. So if all you have is the pencils, you can still complete this without doing the outline. This is just like a little extra. And if you don't have the pen, just watch anyway so you can see the difference that this makes, and you can decide if you want to give it a try or not. I think it's a lot of fun. It adds a new dimension. It brings more light into the piece. You can definitely overdo it with white outlines, so maybe pick an element or two on your page that really needs it. Usually it's a lighter object or a darker object. On this card, for example, I did both. I outlined the black kitty with white, and I outlined the ghost kitty with white. So you will be able to see the difference of what it looks like if you outline a dark object and you outline a white object. I think it's really cool. It really adds a different look, and it's kind of an interesting trick to play on the eye. So just go ahead, take your time, outline the white kitty. So to go back to not white outlining everything on the page, I sort of went back and white outlined most of the things on the page here. All of this is optional. You don't have to white out the candles, but you can see the difference that it does make when I do white out the candles. You don't have to white out the flames, but you can see the interesting sort of effect you get when you do that. Same with the mask. I really just thought it was fun and it was kind of cute and on the style there, so I outlined a couple more things. I decided that I needed a little tiny bit more shading once all was said and done. The ghost kitty looked pretty good, but I wanted to add a little more definition. So first I got the aqua green and I just kind of darkened any of the shadowy parts. And then I looked at it and I said, he looks awesome. It's really cute, but maybe just like a tiny bit more definition. So I got the black pencil again, staying to the color scheme. I didn't go grab a darker blue or anything like that. I just got a tiny bit of black shading and I went in those deepest, shadowiest nooks and I deepened those, and I'm really not pressing very hard here with the black. I'm just lightly brushing the paper with it. A little bit goes a long way, especially when you're shading a really light blue, almost white. So you can see here what just a tiny touch of the black pencil does to deepen the look while still keeping the majority of the ghost kitty really light and translucent looking. So I just a little bit went a long way, and it is interesting to see the difference that something like that makes. Awesome. Wow, that was so fun. I This was one of my favorite pieces to color, to be honest. I know it's simple and there's only 3 pencils, but I think that's part of the joy of it. So let's analyze. Why is this so awesome? Why is the contrast? So black and white have a really high contrast, and you can see that bold contrast between the black and the white. Also, orange and blue are complementary, which means they're opposites on the color wheel. So when colors are opposite, they also have a lot of contrast. So orange and blue also have a lot of contrast. So you have contrast on top of contrast. And the bright shades, the really bright orange and the really kind of bright light blue also draw your eye in and contrast against the black. So I think another reason is it's kind of classic Halloween colors. Yes, it's actually the same colors as the cover for Season of the Witch, the book that this little postcard is from. So it's a great color contrast scheme. It's one of my favorites. To me, it says spooky, it says Halloween fun. It's everything I love about Halloween in 3 pencils. Cool. So I hope you enjoyed this. Congrats on completing the challenge. Even if you added other colors or picked your own, congrats on being creative and doing your own thing. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow for the second one, Memento Mori. We'll take it to the graveyard and we'll try another super spooky color scheme with purple and green and just a little bit of orange and yellow. See you then.